Airhead lovers, and welcome back to Airhead Barn. It's been a while since I've published something on YouTube, and the reason for that is family situation. Our baby girl Nina is now turning 1 year, and finally I can find some time to go back and do some work that I can publish on YouTube. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean that I can take another restoration project that takes really a lot of my free time, but at least I can do some other stuff. For this series of episodes, what I plan to do is some typical topics or tech talks regarding, in general, motorcycling, a bit of airheads, wrenching, restorations, and those kind of things. That said, I do have another restoration project waiting for me in a shop. I can throw in some spoiler. It's 1986 monolever, and to be honest, I'm really not sure what I'm going to do with that bike. Maybe just mechanical restoration, maybe full restoration. Not sure if I want to keep it in appearance how it originally looked out of factory, or I want to change that to something more appealing and the attractive. Definitely not cafe racer styles, but something similar to what R75/7 with S fairing look like. Time will tell. I'm still not sure about that. Nevertheless, let's focus on these tech talks or topics that we can discuss. So what I had on my mind as a plan here is maybe discuss a bit of tools that I'm using, some specialty tools, some interesting topics actually that you might find interesting. I hope so. And for today, what I prepared is a list of German words that are necessary if you want to start, working or even riding these bikes. Most of them came with German signs and words on different parts of the motorcycle. For instance, if you look at the instrument cluster, there is a high chance that you will have some German words there. Also on a motorcycle engine, basically wherever you look, those are there. And I thought maybe it would be a good idea to cover those. Just be warned, my German is not perfect. I studied German long time ago. I want to say hi to my German teacher, and if I do some mistake here for native speakers of a German language and people that know it much better than me, I apologize. It was not intentionally. It's just I'm not proficient in that, but can use it enough to understand what it means for these bikes. So without further ado, let's start, and please don't crucify me if it doesn't sound good. So first one, I have a list here of a common. It's on 2 pages. Common words that I find there on a bikes, and the first one is auf, and sometimes people can think it's off, but actually that means on position, and usually you can find this either on petcocks or on choke lever. And auf means on. It means that your petcock or choke is open. Another one, I go with alphabetical order. Another one is bremse, which means brake. If you find DIN, it stands for German standard. Just means that whatever is done there, it's standardized by German standard body, and literally it means Deutsche Industrie Normen. Sometimes people make fun of it and say das ist Norm, DIN. Okay, next one is Fruchtzündung, which is spark advance. That's your F dot on a flywheel on pre-81 bikes. Later ones have a Z mark. For earlier bikes, you would reach that around 2000 RPM. For later bikes, it comes around 3000 RPM. Farben means colors, where you can have hell, which is light color, and dunkel, which means dark color. Fernlicht is high beam. You can see it on the instrument cluster. Getriebe is your transmission or gearbox. Getriebenseite means side that goes toward the gearbox. Very important if you want to mount that basically rubber boot that goes between transmission and a shaft. If you that one is pain in butt to mount anyway, but if you are able to flip it, in a wrong side and try to mount, it will be miserable. You will just not be able to do it. And later, if you will realize there are some markings on that boot. Well, one marking says Getriebe Seite, which means that side should look to the gearbox. Another marking says Oben, which means up. Another one, Heiß, it's hot. Airheads can get really hot because they are not they are air cooled, and that's why there can be marking Heiß. Hinten means rear. Hinterrad means rear wheel, where rad is wheel. Kalt is opposite than heiß and means cold. Kurbelwelle is crankshaft. Lampe is lamp. Licht, light beam. Continuing with letter L brings us to left or left side. Sometimes it can be marked just with L. You can find this on the carbs, marked L and R like rechts. You can also find some of the valve covers marked with the letters R and L, or really spelled out links and rechts. Motorrad is motorcycle, of course, we all know that. Nockenwelle is camshaft. Oben, as I said, means top. All obviously oil. Alright, OT stands for Oberer Totpunkt and means top dead center. That's on your flywheel when you are trying to set, valve clearance, whatever you are doing, you are setting that OT mark, and that's what it means. Literal translation would be top dead point. Rechts, as I said, means right, can be marked with the letter R. Reifen is tire. S or Spätzündung is basically retarded ignition. That's your static ignition when you are setting it at 1000 RPM, marked on a flywheel with a letter S. Oh, another one. Not that I found this one on a bike, but I think it's crucial, and it's Scheiße, which means oh man, oh shit, what I did now. And when you reach that point, it's really necessary to sit down, take another thing that starts with letter S, and that's Schnaps, which is brandy, booze, however you want to translate it. Sit down, try to relax, think what you've done wrong before you do another mistake. It's crucial. I've done it so many times. There are so many broken parts. They don't show up on the videos, but it happens to everyone. So sit down, take Schnaps, relax, think about it carefully. If it's not a good day, forget about wrenching and shop, forget about garage, go do something else, kick that boxing bag or whatever you want, go for a walk, come next day when you are relaxed and continue that work, otherwise you will do even worse. Alright, oh god, huge German words. Oh, Germans have such enormously big words, sometimes really hard to pronounce. Schlimmer Verbesserung basically stands for fix of something that became even worse, and we have those with Airheads, definitely. If you remember that snapper ring on the output shaft or gearbox, where they decided to fix it and remove the snapper ring, we all know what that created. Another one is changed material for the valve seat, and where valves, without having let in a gas, started sinking into that seat. So great job BMW there. Schraube is screw, Speichen is wheel spokes. Über does not mean something terrific like you would think in English. It's actually over or above something. Unterbrecher or Unterbrecher Kontakt means interrupter, underbreaker, literal translation, but that would be your ignition points on the older Airheads. Ventil is valve, Ventilspiel is a clearance that you set on a valve, means kind of ventil plate. And then we can have Einlass and Auslass. Ventil Einlass would be intake and Auslass would be exhaust. V, just letter V, or vorn, which means front or forward. It's just means front. Sometimes it's marked with just V. One example for it's Vorderrad, which means front wheel, and in catalogs be worn sometimes you have only letter V instead of whole word. Zu is another thing that we find on those petcocks. This one means closed, so when it's horizontal, when your lever is horizontal, that's closed, and it's marked Zu. If you can still see those markings, sometimes they just wear off. Zündung is ignition, that also means attention. Zündkerzen is spark plug, and these are all with umlauts. And Zündzeitpunkte is basically ignition point or a timing point that again you are setting on your that you can see on your time wheel. Alright, so I hope this was helpful. Maybe it's a lot, but I think it's good. It's good amount. It fit on 2 pages with a big font so I can read it. And I hope this can actually help you to understand some of the writing there on Airheads. And tomorrow when we go back to wrenching, it's going to help us. I hope you like this episode. Please stay tuned. In the next one we are going to review common tools that I'm using in my shop. Thank you so much for watching. Tschüss!